Hello everyone and welcome back. This is game number 2 of the first series, of potentially 2, of the grand finals between Tree of Arbor and Indypride. This is Rice Fields. Tree of Arbor chose it. He's in red as the Mori right here. He's got a pretty interesting army. He's got a frontline Katana Samurai, some Naginata Samurai in the back, and some monks in the very rear, along with a lot of cavalry. We'll see if we can make better use of it than he did in the first match. That's going to be key to winning here against Indypride, who has actually a different build himself. Got a nice little katana core right here in the middle, but no katana hero this time, opting for a couple matchlock samurai detachments with the Yari Ashigaru there, and a bit more cavalry I think as well. Oh, maybe that's just the same force. So switching out the katana hero there for the matchlocks. We'll see if that gamble ends up paying off for him. If it does, that means he'll sweep the first series and we'll be on even footing going into the second series. Katana front line for Tree here is moving up now. We'll see if he can manage to capture any buildings with all this. Oh yeah, there it is. He's got some bow cavalry. That's what I saw for Indypride. And the matchlock's going to get a nice little volley off as well and almost obliterate this light cavalry. But shots are a bit wasted there for light cavalry, and they're going to take that charge head on. So we'll see if that ends up taking this matchlock off the field. Probably won't be, especially now that reinforcements are coming in. But light cavalry there is gone, but did a little bit of damage, and they're good sacrificial units. So I won't ever really complain about you throwing away light cavalry. More light cavalry there was shattered, not really doing any damage there at all, but got a nice charge off from the Great Guard, killing about 15 men. This matchlock detachment was being chased off as well by some light cavalry. And, it was a good call there on Tree's part, managed to pick Indy's play here, bringing a lot of light cavalry for chasing off those matchlock units. That's what they're really, really good at doing. Yari Ashigaru holding actually pretty well, considering they're fighting two Katana Samurai and are about to get hammered from behind. They are wavering, just about to go. Killed about 20 men in that Katana Samurai unit, so not too bad there for a little Yari Ashigaru. Indypride's in a bit of disarray here. His matchlock detachments are not really making the best usage of their time. That's just because Tree's cavalry use is so aggressive here. The Great Guard here going after that matchlock samurai. And the other one here for Indypride is pulling back. And this cavalry's all blobbed up. I think that Indypride sort of called it like he did in the last game and just moved all of his cavalry into this blob right here. It could do maybe a lot of damage. Katana Samurai moving on down to the Yari Ashigaru. This battle's sort of happening in a few different sections now, which is always interesting. Cavalry coming in from the side here for Indypride. Bow cavalry moving around to support as well. Indypride's main line looks like they're about to join the action. Katana Samurai are moving up, but pulling them back at the last second I think is a good idea, as let the Yari Ashigaru take the brunt of this attack here. But Tree he's really in disarray. Look at how disorganized his forces are. I think that if Indypride actually did attack with the katanas, it would be a pretty good idea, as you could have this cavalry over here flank and just smash into that chunk. And like we saw in the last game, when your units get too bunched up like that, they can really end up just getting torn apart in a meat grinder, and they're especially susceptible to big charges. Naginata monks coming to try and call this Yari cavalry attack, but it looks like they're going to be a little too late going into the rear of the Katana Samurai, and so it's pretty even at this point. It's hard to say who has the advantage, but Tree's really taken quite a few casualties, I would say. There's a lot of blue left on the field, and the red looks a bit ragged, but with some big charges, that could definitely change. Matchlock Samurai have rallied and can make some serious, do some serious damage here against this cavalry, but they might not get the best firing angle off. Ooh, going after the general, down to 27 men on that charge. And the main line for Tree is engaged, and actually quite a few men here, so he's got a nice little push going right there, and it looks like Indypride might be shattered. Ooh, mass wavering here, and a big push by Tree in the very end manages to turn this game around. And it looks like Tree is in pretty solid control of this match, but he takes a cavalry charge to the general here. Lost about half their men already, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Indypride's forces just routed en masse, and it's just not going to be enough of a final push here by Indypride to turn this around. There's too many men. Even if he did kill the general, there's just too many men. They're not going to be routing in those circumstances. General for Indypride still has 17 men, but is caught in a sea of red and will not really be able to get away from that. General for Tree of Arbor is wavering down to 2 men, and there he goes. Routed, and he's off the field. Katana Samurai there is wavering as well. But Indypride does still have something in the bag here. He does have 2 bow cavalry left who can run around the field and do quite a bit of damage actually, and might be able to get him to split up just enough where that morale impact of the general dying causes them all to rout one by one. But with cavalry chasing them, it's going to be pretty hard for these bow cavalry to make any sort of attack. But Indypride has some cavalry of his own. If you get this melee cavalry and to take out Tree's melee cavalry, he could potentially run around the field all day and just pick off what's left of Tree's forces. Not having that general is pretty huge, because if they start coming under missile attack and they get a little isolated, that'll be a big morale shock that could send these units routing one by one. That's really the only chance Indypride has left at this point. You could try and make a big attack with this melee cavalry, but I think there's too many spears on the field for Tree to really even try and be risky with that sort of strategy. Unfortunately, when he went to stand a fight, the horses got scared off of the general, so he will not be able to mount up, and he's in danger of getting caught by the enemy cavalry. So that's going to be big for Indypride. He's going to have to take out that enemy cavalry to keep his general safe. Because if the general goes, then they'll sense that they have inferior numbers and be very susceptible to routing, even if they're still in good condition. So here's the bow cavalry firing, and I should mention that Tree of Arbor has two buildings. He has the workshop and the sword dojo as well. The archery dojo is uncapped, which Indypride is... Probably didn't think at the beginning of this battle the archery dojo would be that important, but at this point the archery dojo is about the best thing that Indypride could have. Fortunately for Tree, a lot of his infantry left are Naginata Samurai, which have really high armor, and now that they have the workshop, even more armor, and it's going to be very hard to crack into that Naginata Samurai with bow cavalry, especially since they have no chevrons of experience. So they're just basic bow cavalry, and just not going to be able to do very much damage to all of these Naginata Samurai. Look at that. 2 big volleys killed, what, 3 men. Not a whole lot of damage, and they probably will run out of ammo before they can annihilate one of these Naginata Samurai units. So definitely Tree in control here at this point, but I mean, Indypride, he's still alive here. He does have these bow units. No, I see nobody died in that volley right there. I think if I were Indypride, I'd be shooting at the lesser armor unit, like the monks and the Katana Samurai, and trying to get them to thin out. So if you can get those units to rout, then the Naginata Samurai will be isolated. And since they'll be down in numbers, they will then probably rout on their own without their friends to support them. So I'd be shooting at the katanas at this point. Not a good idea to be shooting in the Naginatas and sort of wasting your arrows here. It's not killing anyone. Those 2 volleys didn't kill a single person. Another volley that's futile. You already cavalry there. 12 men and a great guard of 18 is what Tree has left for his cavalry. There goes 1 routing before he even reached the line. So as you can see, it's not over for Indypride. You saw that cavalry unit just rout right there, even though he's with a bunch of friends. That's because the general's dead, and those little shocks can add up. And so that's why I say that Indypride needs to be shooting at the lesser armored troops to just thin out the numbers as much as he can, maybe cause mass wavering, and hopefully that morale shock of being under missile attack and maybe a big cavalry charge could end up sealing the deal. It's very frustrating to see him shooting at these Naginata Samurai. That's a big boost with Naginata Samurai, is that armor. Yeah, it really gives you some tactical prowess or advantages when you're going against something like a bow corps. If you find yourself weak to missiles, bringing Naginata Samurai can be very helpful. And maybe just bringing a Naginata corps, and then you go up against these missile corps and you say, "How you can't even shoot me because I have so much armor." But Indypride might be getting cornered here a little bit. He's almost to the red line, as we can see right there. Is that the general? Oh, those are just his horses running off. I was just going to say, it's like, hey, we found the routed general. Indypride looks like he might be making a last stand here soon as he's flanking his cavalry around and maybe just going for one big attack to try and seal the deal here late in the game. Great Guard is confident but very tired. Indypride's forces are mostly fresh. Oh, this could be big. The general's going to get caught here, and without that melee cavalry to support him, the general could get tied down here. If the general dies, that will probably be it for Indypride, as these cavalry units are very susceptible to morale shocks when that general's dead and your army's mostly off the field, because they've had problems with people running cavalry around the map to try and just out-annoy the opponent and get a cheap win for just getting so annoyed that you disconnect. But Great Guard here under missile attack. 8 men left from this unit. He has to get this charge off now, and there it is. 9 men and wavering. General's at 3 men, but still alive and wavering. And Indypride, oh man, he just got caught there with his general. I think he could have really pushed that skirmishing advantage hard, but it might not work out for him. And the general is still alive though, and wavering, but surrounded by red. Indypride's got to get him out of there somehow, because he is still standing. Inspire was popped, but unfortunately there goes the general. We can see Tree's forces celebrating the death of Indypride's general right there, and that will probably be it for Indypride. Maybe just making a last-ditch sort of attack here. maybe a bit of just a last stand. That's really all he's got. Even one of the bow cavalry are joining into the melee. But pulling out, trying to make the most out of these charges. Great Guard there, 14 men. The Yari Cavalry's at 12. Another Great Guard at 17. And the Bow Cavalry, who are in pretty good shape. 59 there, 45 there. So he still has the men. But he's just got to whittle this army down. I think he's still shooting into Naginata Samurai. Oh, there it goes. See, with the general dying, there goes one of the Bow Cavalry has shattered. So Indypride, oh, they all shattered. So yeah, as you can see when the general dies, it makes your cavalry very skittish when there's no infantry left on the field. So Tree of Arbor takes game number 2 and ties us up. Indypride is 1 loss away from being eliminated. Tree 1 win away from taking it all. How will the 3rd game go? First, let's go back to the main menu. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching. And there it is, Tree of Arbor taking game number 2, tying this series up. He's 1 win away from taking it all. As we can see by the numbers here, definitely in Tree of Arbor's favor. Lost 2/3 of his forces though, and Indypride could have maybe salvaged that and pulled out a win, but just shooting those Naginata Samurai is just a waste of arrows. He had monks to shoot at, Katana Samurai, and I think that was a big mistake there. And if he had just done that, I think he could have definitely pulled that one out. Losing his general was a big blunder too. He brought that melee cavalry around to the side there. It really left an opening for the Great Guard of Tree to come in and get a big charge, tie down that general, and get him killed. And so that ended up doing it. But very well played there by both sides. Tree of Arbor had a big attack. On a map like Rice Fields, you know those big attacks are coming, and Indypride just couldn't cope enough with it and took the loss there. But we're going to game number 3. This could be the deciding game that decides the whole tournament. I will see you there. Thanks for watching, everybody.